My boyfriend, male 23, secretly destroyed my female 22 hobbies because he was jealous of me spending time with them instead of him. Plus updates. Original post. This is honestly the weirdest thing I've ever experienced and have no idea what to do. So I, female 21, have a lot of hobbies. I'm sort of what you might call a hobby collector, lol. But my top ones right now are running, training for a marathon, baking, reading, and doing something called junk journaling. Not sure if anyone is familiar. Specifically reading, I've been doing since I was a young teenager. This started about 6 months ago when I saw that several of my old books were dog-eared, which I don't do to my books. I asked my boyfriend if he had read them, which I would be totally fine with, but he insisted he hadn't touched them. Odd, but whatever. Then after that, I literally could never find my running shoes. I bought a rather expensive pair and keep them separate from my other shoes because I'm a nurse and my hospital shoes are nasty, LMAO. But the running shoes I could never find. They would always turn up days later though, somewhere I definitely hadn't put them. Again, odd but whatever. And then my journal got completely destroyed. Somehow it was left outside in our garage, where it is known to leak when it rains. It didn't necessarily get water damaged, but the moisture made all of my pages peel up and practically 28 pages ruined. The pages took me over an hour each, and I'm quite proud of them. 28 plus hours of my artwork ruined. This is so stupid, but I genuinely started to believe the house was haunted, LMAO. I did shed a few tears over my journal, and my boyfriend rolled his eyes at that, but helps me glue them all back down and salvage as much as possible. I had a fleeting thought that he put it out there, but it was honestly so weird. I was like, why would he? Then it was back to my books. I have a huge bookshelf with about 200 plus books because I read daily. I started to notice one by one that they were freaking disappearing. Like straight up, gone. I searched every corner of the house and could not find them. I even texted all 3 of my sisters, my brother and my boyfriend's sister, asking if they had borrowed any and didn't tell me. They all said they hadn't. My boyfriend's sister borrows my books often, but she always asks and insisted she didn't have any. When this happened, I was like, WTF? And then it was my baking. I could never find my mixers or my baking sheets or anything whenever I wanted to bake. The final straw though was when I found my KitchenAid mixer broken. Literally just would not turn on. And if you don't know, those things are expensive. So I straight up asked him, did you do this? Like, why is all my stuff broken or lost recently? He finally admitted to purposely hiding or breaking my things because my hobbies annoy him. I'm not gonna lie, I exploded. I told him he was a weirdo for touching my stuff and that it was honestly so strange to do this as an adult. He proceeded to defend himself, saying that I was spending more time in my made-up hobbies than with him, and this was the only way to make me focus in our relationship again. Which, for context, isn't true at all. We still have a great relationship, or so I thought. We go on dates twice a week, get intimate regularly, we get along with each other's families and friends. Like, I'm so confused. We've been together for 2 whole years. I love him so much. And other than this odd behavior, he's so good to me. After that argument, I was genuinely so distraught that I left the house and went to my sister's house to live together. They also agreed it was the oddest thing in the world. The icing on the freaking cake when I got home this morning was that he threw out all of my things. Cut the soles out of my running shoes, cut the laces, threw out my Apple Watch, destroyed the baking things, cut the silicone molds, the box that all my missing books were in, and the freaking dumpster with all of my other journal supplies. The journal he helped me fix was turned to shreds. I genuinely started to sob. I know it sounds dumb and overdramatic, but I genuinely worked so hard in my journal that it made me cry. Literally hundreds of dollars, and some of my favorite books in the trash. Money spent on baking supplies, which I used to bake for my baby cousin's elementary school, ruined. I just don't understand what is wrong with him. He's never been like this before, ever. I'm genuinely so freaking confused what has gotten into him. What do I do? What has gotten into him? Is it something else he could be projecting? I'm genuinely so confused. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. He's a freaking psycho. Kick him out. Change the locks and sue him. Police report and get a paper trail ASAP. It literally doesn't matter how much he hasn't been like this. Either he started watching some Andrew TT, or he was just waiting till he thought you wouldn't leave for this behavior. You have lost hundreds of dollars worth of belongings. You need to take a picture of everything. The shoes would be a great example. Your dog couldn't be blamed because it cut the soles out, and it's illogical to assume you would destroy your own very expensive shoes. I'm not a lawyer, but you might be able to sue for the property value and emotional damages. Keep all texts regarding this incident if you have them, and see if you can get him to confess to it over text as well. Anything like, "I'm so sorry I destroyed your stuff, please come back," would work. He's an abusive a-hole. Leave him. You deserve someone who encourages and celebrates your interests. And the thing is, up until like those 6 months ago, he literally always would. I even got him to read some of my favorite books. I'm just so confused what snapped for him. So weird, and it genuinely scares me. Yeah, that was just him faking. This abusive crap is the real him. Abusers will pretend to be normal, but normal people don't pretend to be abusers unless they actually are. Yeah, I just can't believe he was able to act normal for a year and a half. Actually, longer than a year and a half because we knew each other for a year prior to dating. I literally never expected something like this from him. It's so hard to leave someone because they hate your hobbies. It's so odd. This is not why you'd be leaving him. You'd be leaving him because he is a deeply cruel person who would rather systematically destroy your happiness than have any attention be directed away from himself. Hate is a feeling. What he did is intentional, prolonged, horrifyingly abusive action. It's just so hard to think that he was being abusive to me. I never in a million years would have thought he did this. He's never once made me feel unsafe. Now for the mini updates. I'm still not there. I'm with my sisters deciding what I need to do next. Thank you everyone for the comments and help. I really am grateful for it. Another update. A few people have messaged me to let me know that my post has been posted on TikTok and one of the Reddit story things. My boyfriend is active on TikTok, and if he sees it, this will be a million times worse. I don't know what to do about that either. I'm just digging myself in deeper holes now. And also, I know everyone is very concerned about my pup, but they also say do not go alone. I don't know which is worse, leaving her there or going alone to get her tonight. Now for the full update. Thank you for all your advice yesterday. A lot of people were very concerned for me, and that is honestly mind-blowing. If all you want is to know that I am okay, I am. If you want to know the full story, here. I decided last night that I really needed to go get my dog, as a lot of people said that he was going to hurt her or even end her when I wouldn't come back. I didn't tell him I was coming, just went with my sister and let myself in with my key. He was upstairs, but came down immediately, apologizing, begging me to just talk, telling me I was overreacting, all that. I just ignored him and grabbed my puppy. I told him I was taking her and my few things and that I would be back later tomorrow, as in today, with my other sisters and brother to collect my things. I told him that if he touched any more of my stuff, I was going to take him to the small claims court like all of you suggested. And honestly, I was considering it now for everything he did prior. He was so stricken that I could tell he started to get mad at that point. I ran around the house to collect my few really important things, passport, laptop, work badge. He followed me around the whole time, just begging me to give him another chance. I just ignored him. My sister took pictures of the things still destroyed. We put them all in our hallway closet for some odd freaking reason. I didn't tell him I was going to file a police report, which is why I think when my sister started to get snappy when we were leaving, calling him a few names, he shoved her out of the doorway she was standing in. She fell. She wasn't hurt or anything, but it really proved things for me. He was willing to shove my innocent sister over a few words, and he will definitely do worse to me. He probably would have done worse to me if I came alone. We just immediately left after that and took my dog and my stuff back to my sister's. She helped me contact police and we have a report started. All the things he destroyed of mine, the texts admitting to it, the texts threatening me, the texts saying he would have never hurt our dog, but if it wouldn't have gotten me there, he would have done it. That he will do anything to get me back. And a small scrape my sister had on her hand when she fell. They asked if she wanted to press charges for the shove, but she said no for now. The officer was really nice and he told me to write down everything that he broke and write down the prices. He said it might add up to a felony charge if that's the route I wanted to take with him. I'm not sure it is, but at least it's there. That was last night. This afternoon, my brother and our friend, another man, are going to take me back to the house to pack up most of what I can. I had my sister tell my ex-boyfriend over text that we suggest he be gone from the house for a few hours. He responded to my sister with just horrid things about me, calling me names that I never would have expected from him, telling her about all the intimate details of our relationship, and other personal stuffs my sister don't know about. He said he wishes he never met me. My brother is urging me to try and file a restraining order. And for those of you concerned that he was stalking me or tracking me, I had my brother check everything, and he said it all looks fine. So at least there is that. I'm not concerned he will try and hurt me or anything when I go back to the house. Like I said, I'm going to go with my brother and a friend, both ex-military. I'm going to stay with two of my sisters until I figure out my situation. My brother is insisting on staying with us, at least for a few days while everything settles. I thought I was overreacting, but I think my brother honestly might be. Lol. I'm mourning the loss of my 2-year relationship with a man who I thought was the love of my life. A man I lived with and trusted wholeheartedly. But I don't know what happened, but he just isn't that man anymore. I think in some ways he never was. My sister made me think back on the past 2 years, and I can name at least a dozen things he did to subtly control me or try to. The most terrifying part is that if I didn't have the weird urge to post here, I probably would have let him convince me to forgive him. That is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I hope no one ever has to experience something similar. Although I now know this is far from rare. This man is insane. I'm happy her and the dog are okay, but she needs to get far away from this person. Plus, he cannot know where she's living. Yeah. Even the small stuff, like hiding her running shoes, come across as psychotic. But destroying all her things? Holy crap. I've been collecting gaming books, dice, and other paraphernalia for 30 plus years now. God, typing that made me feel old. Anyway, if someone threw all of that out, I'd be livid. It may just be stuff, but it's my stuff. All those things I collected through my life, there are memories attached to that. Opie's brother is not overreacting, and I'm scared for her that she thinks he is. In fact, she is underreacting, lol, which I guess is because things need to sink in a bit more for her. It is genuinely such a scary situation. She's probably still in that mindset of, he's never done anything like this before. He wouldn't actually hurt me. But it's so obvious that he 100% would, and probably will try to. Yeah, in the first post, she said she dismissed the idea that he would do these things, because why would he do that? And as I hope it became clear to her with time, he did it to hurt her. Not because he didn't get enough of her time, not because he was going through something difficult, but just because he wanted to hurt her, to feel in control of her and watch her be upset and confused. I am glad she never went back alone, and hope she keeps that up. Witnesses, protectors, allies, all good and necessary in this type of situation. Last story. I, 22 female, mistakenly accused boyfriend, 22 male, of cheating on me. He says he wants to break up. Have been in a relationship with my boyfriend for 2 years. Never had any real problems until now. He moved to a new job about 4 months ago and is being mentored into the job by a senior female employee. She calls him after work hours too, to make sure that work is on schedule and to inform him of various responsibilities of the next day. I have been okay with all this, until one day she called him around bedtime and asked him if he could pick her up in the morning because of some problems with her car. I found this unnecessary and told him to not do it. He said it was okay for one day and did pick her up in the morning. I argued with him in the evening and told him that I find her calling him outside of work to be uncomfortable. He rejected that and said she only says things about work. And as she mentors him, he cannot just ask her to not call anymore. This has been going on for some time, but the breaking point came yesterday. One of my friends called me yesterday noon and told me that she saw my boyfriend eating lunch in a restaurant with another woman. She described the woman, and I was sure that it was the mentor. In my mind, I was almost sure that it was nothing. But still, when he came home, I exploded and screamed at him and accused him of cheating on me with her. I shouted over him for a good 30 minutes. When I calmed down, he looked livid and showed me a photo on his phone. It was a selfie of him and several of his colleagues having lunch, and it was just that he and the mentor took a smaller single table by the side of the extended one. I apologized a lot, but he said that he doesn't feel comfortable that I am getting insecure over him working with a woman. Then today morning, he told me that he needed some space and went to his friend's house. He is not taking my calls anymore, and I want to go to his friend's house to talk to him. How can I convince him that I know that I went overboard with my reaction? Edit. Some of you have asked why the mentoring is continuing after 4 months. I can't say what his job is, but I know that the mentoring period for his job is 6 months. Now for the top advice. So you went from thinking it's nothing to screaming at him. Then he asks for some space, and you bombard him with calls and want to show up at his friend's house? He has every right to dump you, and I think most reasonable people would do the same. I suspect your relationship is toast, and that's on you. Yeah, couldn't believe that part either. Why would you explode and scream at someone when you're almost sure nothing has happened and the boyfriend hasn't done anything wrong? Opie deserves to be broken up with, and is not nearly apologetic enough for her actions. I can't help but feel that any apology would come with a but. If he asks you to give him some space, give him some space. He left this morning, so wait at least a day until you try to contact him again. He might sort his thoughts out and come back to you. What are you doing, Opie? Sounds like an abusive, controlling, and coercive person to me. You're right, she definitely could be abusive, controlling, and coercive towards her boyfriend. Her insecurity is something to share and be vulnerable with him about in a controlled setting. Exploding accusatorily over circumstances and stress rather than waiting until she could have a conversation means she's unprepared to be in a healthy relationship and needs to work on herself rather than try to repair this. It's at her boyfriend's discretion, but he should break up with her. I could never imagine being with someone who doesn't trust me sharing time and attention with other people regardless of gender. Mini update. Sorry for not replying to the comments. I was distraught, and the opinions are understandably against me. I understand from reading many of them think that I might have BPD, still to be diagnosed. I'm planning to go to therapy and counseling. I've sent him a message saying this, and that he can take as much time as he wants, and that I would completely understand if he wants to break up. As for people asking why I screamed at him when I didn't think there was a problem, I really don't know. At that moment, I couldn't control myself, and all the irritation I felt from her spending time with him must have come out. First story is titled, Update. Am I the a-hole for asking my dad if he missed my birthday party to be with his other family? Original story. My parents divorced 3 years ago because my dad had an affair and the lady got pregnant, and he left us to be with her and a kid. My sister and I hate him, but our mom still wants us to have a relationship with him, so we see him once or twice a month to make her happy. My sister and I turned 16 on Saturday, twins. We had a party in the park with our aunts, uncles, cousins, and grandparents from both sides of the family. We all wore masks. The only person who didn't come was my dad. He came over yesterday to drop off our present. I swear it was made for an 8-year-old, and said that he was sorry that he couldn't come to our birthday and that he was busy. He lost his job in May and has been sitting on his butt playing video games since because nobody's hiring, so I know he wasn't working. I asked him exactly why he couldn't come to our birthday, and he just said that he was busy. So I looked at him and asked if the reason he missed our 16th birthday was because he wanted to be with his other family instead. He left without saying anything, and I've been banned from their house for being rude. Am I the a-hole for asking my dad if he missed my sister's birthday because he'd rather be with his other family? Edit. He hates it when we call them his other family because he wants us to think of them as our family. He even tried for a while to get us to call his new wife Mom. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. Adults hate to be faced to the truth, especially if our children are the culprit. At least you are no longer expected to see your dad anymore. Info. Not the a-hole either way, but did he call? Say anything like, "Oops, sorry for missing today. I'll swing by tomorrow." No. I always hated when parents act like this. You expected nothing and still got disappointed. Not the a-hole. You ask a difficult question and deadbeat daddy didn't like it. Sorry your dad sucks, OP. He does suck, but at least now that she's banned, she cannot be forced to go and see this loser. This is a win-win, OP. You got to call him out for being a deadbeat, and you can't be forced to see him anymore. Well done, you. And happy birthday to you and your sister. And now for the update. The visits with my dad had stopped. Instead, we spend those weekends with our grandparents, which is way better. My sister and I returned the dresses. My sister bought a jacket that she liked, and I got shoes and makeup. When my dad found out that my sister and I weren't visiting anymore, he got mad. He said I didn't mean it when he said I was banned, and I need to have a relationship with my brother and sister. Yes, this was how my dad decided to announce that his wife is pregnant. He also thought that would be the right time to tell us that our sister would need our room. So when we visit, we'd take the couch. He also wanted 50-50 custody. When our mom heard that he's giving away our room and wants to go to court for more custody, she lost it. She screamed at him about how irresponsible and selfish he is, and told him that he'd be left out of court if he tried to get custody without us even having a bedroom there. I think he's still trying to go to court, but my sister and I don't like him and don't want to stay there anymore, and we don't have a room, so there's pretty much zero chance we're gonna have to stay there. Also, my mom introduced me and my sister to her boyfriend the other day, and he seems great. He really wants to get to know me and my sister individually, something my dad didn't even care to do, and he's so nice to us and my mom. They're talking about him moving in a few months. So, even though my dad's a jerk, I guess the story still has a happy ending. Edit. I just looked it up, and we're in a state where there's no guarantee they'll take what we say into account, and you legally can't refuse visitation. Glad there's some happy ending there, and he would be laughed out of court. Why force a 16-year-old to share a room with a 2 to 3-year-old? No judge would be happy with that. Plus, you and your sister are 16. You can decide your own custody. He's not making us share a room with our half-brother. He wants us to sleep on the couch. Wait a minute. Was that couch singular? Is he not only denying you and your twin a bed, but also expecting you to share a couch? Yeah, it's a pull-out couch though, so he thinks it's perfectly fine. I hate to be that guy, but it's likely that your dad is asking for 50-50 custody at this late date to avoid paying child support. Or so he and his wife can have free babysitters. God, your dad sounds like the most embarrassing idiot ever. He doesn't even work and sits around playing video games all day, and that other woman desperately wanted to nab him? Good riddance. I'm so glad things worked out for the better for you guys and your mom. Right. Imagine how pissed off she must be. Congrats, you stole your man. Have a potato that does nothing but consume resources and impregnates you. Oh, and have fun spending part of your paycheck on his child support. Mwah. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for shaming my family for not supporting me enough during my cancer treatment? I think I'm in the right on this, but I've also been told I'm an abrasive a-hole, so maybe I should have handled this differently. I'm 25 female and have cancer. I'm not going to die. We got it early enough to know that I will survive this. Chemo sucks. I'm already sick of the G.I. Jane / Natalie Portman / Imperator Furiosa jokes after I shaved my head, but at least I can now smoke pot in a state that bans recreational marijuana use. The other night, I got phone calls from my sister and my cousin letting me know that our aunt, who is the most overzealous, narcissistic, self-absorbed woman we know, was planning on having the whole family show their support for my cancer diagnosis by getting everyone to shave their heads. Personally, I always thought this stunt was really stupid, and my sister and cousin are against this for a number of reasons. My sister is a flight attendant and just got off furlough, so she doesn't want to jeopardize her job by showing up to work with a shaved head when her airline has a very strict dress code. My cousin is 14, has waist-length red hair that makes her look like a ginger Rapunzel, and is already dealing with self-esteem issues. Her hair is the only thing she likes about herself, so shaving it off would destroy her mentally. They tried to talk my aunt out of it, but she wasn't budging. We think my aunt is doing this to get clout on social media, maybe even get an article in People. I don't know. Like I said, she will make anything about her. So without naming names, I made this post on Facebook letting everyone in our family know that the jig is up. The gist was that I don't want to see anyone shaving their heads in the name of supporting me just because I have cancer, especially when some of them were the ones behind the G.I. Jane jokes. Instead of doing something that would make them feel good about themselves, why not do something to make me feel good? Like, oh, I don't know, driving me to my appointments now and then, or helping around the apartment or cooking when I don't feel like Hot Pockets again. Just something to make my routine a little easier while I deal with the chemo side effects. Hell, even a lemonade stand will do because this is America and our healthcare system is a joke. This backfired. And now many of my relatives, spearheaded by my aunt, are putting me on blast by calling me ungrateful. I should be happy to see that I have my whole family supporting me in my battle, barf, by doing this selfless act. They even went as far as to say that I was acting like a brat by saying they don't help out enough, and what I'm asking for is too much. Even though they have done diddly squat since I got my diagnosis. So now, my family, except my sister and cousin, think I am an entitled jerk who is using her cancer diagnosis to get more out of them. And maybe I am the a-hole for how I handled this. I need a second opinion. Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. You are the one with cancer. You are the one who needs the extra help. And guess what? Forcing a 14-year-old girl to shave her head is gonna do what? Having your poor sister who just got her job back put that in jeopardy is going to do what exactly? Play the cancer card. I have cancer. Bug off. I know, right? I'm not a fan of our extended family, but I love my sister and cousin. I would be furious if their lives got screwed because of me. My sister's career is everything to her, and our cousin is just the sweetest little cinnabon. I am quite protective of her. Dear family, it has come to my attention that some of you think I'm attempting to use the cancer card to guilt you into supporting me through my treatment. Nothing could be further from the truth. help or don't help. I care very little at this point. What I do care about is that a couple of my relatives are being pressured into shaving their heads against their will by a certain someone, risking their careers as well as their self-esteem. I cannot stress enough that I am totally against this pointless virtue signaling, and will call said person out full blast on every social media outlet I have should any of you be forced to go bald against your will. I apologize if my first post made me seem entitled and selfish, but I'm sick. Yes, cancer card played. And tired of the self-righteous BS and a certain someone's desire to gain likes at my expense. You know who you are. Stop it now. Love, Opie. Not the Ahole. Not the Ahole. I had cancer, so I'm sorry to hear that. I know firsthand it sucks. They're trying to make you feel like the a-hole because they want to support you in the way they feel like supporting you, and not the way you want to be supported. That's complete BS in my opinion. Forgive me if I'm making an assumption here, but it sounds like you have attention monsters on your hands here. They're unwanted and unneeded. It sounds like your aunt especially wants to talk about this when asked, so people can say, "Oh, how nice of you to join her," so she can look good. It's crap and you really don't need it on top of this. Not the a-hole. This support is what people who don't want to provide actual help do. To save face and gain social points, just like you pointed out. Your aunt can bug right off. Take my word for it. I'm just about to go no contact on this branch of the family. I'll make my own family with my sister and cousin. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to drive my granddaughter home from school after this summer? My son and his wife had an almost 4-year-old daughter together. Last year, they had to move from City A to City B, about 20 minutes without traffic, away because it's cheaper to live there. My son still works in City A, and therefore they chose to keep their daughter at her daycare because he had to come here anyway for work every morning. I also live in City A and work there. I get done with work around 3. The issue is my daughter-in-law doesn't drive. My son does, but he doesn't get done with work until 7, and the daycare closes at 5:30. They came to me last year and asked if I would mind driving my granddaughter home every day. They offered to give me gas money, and at first I agreed because it seemed like good arrangement. I work close to her daycare and get off before they close. After a year, though, it's became a problem. There often isn't traffic on my way there, but I get caught up in it on my way home. Honestly, while it's only 3 days a week, it's become such a chore, and while I love my granddaughter, I couldn't keep it up. I did warn my son and daughter-in-law a few times that I wasn't sure how much longer I could do this, and they told me that once she turned 4, they plan to send her to a preschool close to daughter-in-law's work. So I figured the end was in sight. Recently I mentioned something about preschool, and my daughter-in-law said it was too expensive, and since the daycare does a lot of activities with my granddaughter, they want to keep her there. I said okay, but I was done driving once she turned 4. I said that we originally agreed it'd end then. This also gives them 4 months to find a new daycare or figure out a new ride situation. Now my son and daughter-in-law are upset with me, because apparently they have no one else that can drive her home from her daycare, and they'll have to move her to one that's closer, which will be traumatic. She's a very social and bubbly little girl. I said I'm sure she'll be fine switching to a new school. That was the plan in a way, wasn't it? They told me that they guessed they'll have to find somewhere else, then started guilting me that I was causing her daycare to lose money. I said that wasn't my problem. They also say I have no good reason to stop, but I pointed out I don't need a reason. I've still been driving my granddaughter home as she doesn't turn 4 until the summer, but things are tense. Am I the a-hole? Edit, please stop judging my daughter-in-law for not driving. She has a medical condition that prohibits her from driving. Not the a-hole. They're being completely unreasonable and ungrateful to boot. If you feel like being a saint among saints, you can offer to drive her to your house and watch her until her dad gets off work. I have no interest in watching her. I love her, but she is a handful, and I couldn't watch her even for a couple of hours a night. That's perfectly fine. Good luck with your kid and his partner. They sound like a handful too. Since daughter-in-law can't drive due to a medical condition, she can take an Uber to pick up their daughter. I bet they'll find a preschool is much cheaper than using Uber 3 days a week. Not at a-hole. They're being lazy and cheap. You gave multiple warnings, well, in advance. You all agreed on a course of action that resolved things and an end date. Then they unilaterally backed out and didn't tell you. If you hadn't brought it up, I can imagine them calling the week after her birthday, wondering why you weren't picking her up. They still have ample time to find an alternative arrangement. They just don't want to, because it's easier to make you do it and not change. Be careful not to fall into the trap of explaining your choice. Just stick with, "I'm sorry, it's impossible, and you should be golden." For what it's worth, the daycare will not lose money. Any daycare worth its salt has a mile-long wait list of children ready to step into a vacancy. Not The Ahole. Been there, done that. I used to schlep someone from Minneapolis to St. Paul every day. It got old, but I kept up my agreement and did it for a year. They squawked when I said that once the year was up, I was done with that. This was temporary, but they wanted it for as long as they wanted it. Kind of like your son and daughter-in-law. Excuses, but it eats into your day, and this isn't your child. You already raised yours. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give up my dog for my dad's fiancée and her son? Original post. I'm really upset about this right now. I'm 17 female. My parents divorced when I was 12. It was really rough. They pretty much hate each other and still have trouble doing anything together where I'm concerned. I try not to talk about them to each other and just keep things separate. All the fighting and chaos was hard on me. It was affecting my mood and schoolwork when it was all going down. So, my dad felt bad and let me have a dog to help me feel better. Someone nearby had Malamute puppies, so I picked out one and his name is Tycho and he's my best friend. Even on the weeks I'm with my mom, I stop by after school every day to take him to the dog park to play and get his cuddles in. I love this dog. My dad started dating Melanie a few years ago. I don't really connect with her. We're just really different and she's way too touchy. But she makes my dad happy, so whatever. Her son Ben, 9 male, is autistic and needs a lot of accommodations. He gets really upset and has meltdowns when things change or are done differently. He's also really scared of Tycho, even though as far as I know, Tycho has never done anything to scare him. He's a really laid-back and well-behaved dog. Dad and Melanie recently got engaged, and they want to go ahead and move her and Ben in so that they can get rid of their apartment and save money. My dad told me about it and said that since Ben is afraid of Tycho and needs a stable environment at home, Tycho is going to have to go somewhere else. My mom's townhouse doesn't have room for him, and my grandparents aren't in good enough health to look after a big dog, so we would have to rehome him. I admit I didn't take it very well, and we had a big fight. I told him that no way was I going to give up my dog, and I'm going to college next year anyway, so they can put off the move until the spring when I can find a place to take him with me. My dad says they need to do the move over the holidays and Ben is more important than a dog. I told him if he gives away my dog, I'll never forgive him, and that he obviously thinks Ben is more important than me too. My dad is mad now because I'm making this a choice between me and his fiancé basically. Melanie's having second thoughts about the engagement since I don't want to live with them. My mom is mad at my dad and they're fighting again. And I'm afraid to leave Tycho alone because he might not be there when I get back. My aunt says I'm being childish and that my dad deserves to be happy. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Info, why do they need to move over the holidays? Seems arbitrary. I think it's something to do with her lease or something. I don't know. Maybe also having time to move. My dad just said that it would be a lot more trouble and expensive to wait. What a lame excuse. Basically, it's just about convenience. Then saving some money and not going through the trouble of waiting is more important than allowing you to keep your dog. OMG, your dad really sucks. Info, can you stay with your grandparents? I'm going to see if they would be willing. They could probably use the help anyway. But my dad is going to throw a fit, and I don't want him to make things hard on them either. I'm going to talk to them this afternoon after school. Why would your dad throw a fit? He wants the dog to go so his new family can move in. You've said it clearly you want the dog to be with you. Surely this is a solution that fits the criteria? They've been fighting over custody stuff since the divorce and my dad is super strict about time. He won't want me to move totally out, but I'll have to if Tycho goes to my mom's or grandparents to take care of him. I guess my mom wins if that happens. Since your intention is to take him with you when you move out, is it possible to have someone you know foster him for a few months? The dog, not the crotch critter. Would your grandparents be able to manage it for a short time, or can you stay with them to help them out for a few months? I'm going to talk to my grandparents again this afternoon, I think. I'm so afraid my dad is just going to take Tycho while I'm at school. So I might just grab him and take him to my mom's for a couple of days until I can figure something out. She doesn't have a yard, and the place is too small for a big dog long term. Maybe if I can move in with the grands, I can help them out with the chores, the property, and keep my dog with me. They have plenty of room. My dad won't like that though, and I'm guessing there's going to be another lawyer showdown if I do that. Now for the updates. I talked to my mom and grandparents after school. I brought Tycho to my mom's place this afternoon, and I'm going to take him to my grandparents tomorrow. I'm going to split time between them and my mom for a while, and my grandparents said that if I go to college nearby, I can live with them while I study to make sure I don't lose my dog. So I'm going to look at maybe doing 2 years at a local college, and then transferring to a university later. I haven't told my dad yet, but I will after I get Tycho saddled tomorrow. I already went online and made sure his chip information is up to date with all of my info and my mom's place as backup. Pretty sure all hell is going to break loose, but honestly, I do almost anything to not lose my dog, including just not going to college right now if that's what I have to do. He takes care of me, so I have to take care of him. Second update. It's been a rough few days. My dad flipped his lid when I told him I wasn't coming back to his place, and he and my mom are duking it out right now. My mom's lawyer asked me a bunch of questions and then said not to worry about it. Melanie called to find out what was going on, so I told her that if living with her and Ben means I'll lose my dog, I'm just not going to live there anymore. And she tried to talk me out of it because my dad didn't want to lose me, but I told her that's just how it is. I think they're fighting now too. My grandparents said my dad is being totally unreasonable and is not allowed to come on their property. Gonna be a fun Christmas. I'm just going to stay at my grandparents and try to keep my head down until I go back to school. But Tycho seems to like it here. He has a lot more space to run around and still gets to sleep next to my bed, so he's happy at least. Final update. Okay, last update. So Melanie broke it off with my dad. My dad didn't talk to me for a while, but he finally asked to have lunch. So my grandpa went with me because he wanted to make sure I was safe and my dad didn't yell at me. My dad apologized for trying to make me give up Tycho and wants me to come back home. I told him I would come visit, but I'm still afraid he'll take my dog. Living with my grandparents has also been really nice. It's quiet, they appreciate me helping out with the farm, and my grandma's teaching me how to cook. He wasn't happy but said he understood, and we worked out a plan for me to visit for dinner a few days on the weeks that used to be his weeks. And I'm dropping by to see my mom most days on her weeks, but spending most of my time with my grandparents. I got a scholarship to the local branch of the state university, and it's only an hour and some away, and has the degree program I want, so I think I'm going to go there for at least the first 2 years. I'm going to talk to admissions about getting a waiver from living on campus since I'm helping my grandparents. Both my parents are going to chip in on an allowance for me and Tycho while I'm in school. My mom says my grandparents can relax more and are feeling better with me there. Also, they love Tycho being around now too. So it's the best option for everyone and I'll be able to budget for vet visits and everything. My dad is still mad at my mom and Melanie, but he doesn't want me to miss out on college. And he seems to be more himself after the first week of visits. Thank you all for the advice. I'm so relieved this has worked out. I've had so much anxiety over Christmas about all of this, but I get to keep Tycho. Things are mending with my dad and I'm on track for college. Trying to get rid of your kid's beloved pet for a new love interest is a surefire way to alienate them. He broke his kid's trust. It's really hard to come back from that. You can see it in her post. Even though the fiancé isn't in the picture anymore, she's still scared that her father's going to take away her dog. And there's always going to be this voice in the back of Opie's head asking, if Melanie didn't leave him, would he have still admitted he was wrong? Would he have still tried to make me get rid of the dog? And there's nothing her father can do to truly answer that question for her. That repeated fear that dad would secretly steal the dog away just gutted me. That is a huge weight to live with, at a level of distrust that you don't come back from. My dad apologized for trying to make me give up Tycho and wants me to come back home. I told him I would come visit, but I'm still afraid he'll take my dog. Dad doesn't realize how much trust he has broken with his daughter. To Dad, Tycho is just a dog, but to Opie, Tycho is like a brother. He was there for Opie when her parents weren't. Her father threatened Opie's family. Tycho is part of her family. And all because they couldn't wait just a few months. Apologies don't restore trust. Forgiveness means the conflict is settled, but that doesn't mean you'll be trusted next time. I think her trust was broken long ago. Maybe because of my own trauma, I'm reading too much between the lines. But she hasn't learned how to cook. Her dad gets fired up at the notion she lives somewhere else, and she comments about how quiet it is at her grandparents, when she hasn't experienced her dad's partner and kid living with her yet. Something tells me that her dad generally isn't the best. And Grandpa had to come with her to make sure her dad didn't yell at her or make a scene. Something tells me that not everything is okay with this man. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my son he has to go to university, get a job, or get out? My wife and I have 3 children. They are 17, 15, and 10. My oldest has no intention to do anything after high school, or at least none he has made clear to us. So I gave him the same ultimatum my parents gave me. Either go to university, get a job, or GTFO. I chose to travel the world for 2 years. I had a lot of sailing experience, and my father had a lot of friends in that community, so I was able to sail around the world, earning money and working my butt off. It wasn't a 2-year vacation. My family's well off, and I could have chosen an indolent life, but I knew I would be a disappointment if I chose that. So, when I got back, I enrolled in university and eventually went to work for the family business. My wife thinks I'm being unfair to our poor baby boy, throwing him out into the world. I'm not. We have the money to pay for his university. We have the money for all 3 kids. My middle child will probably end up with a good chunk of it in her pocket. She's on track for an academic as well as a golf scholarship. The 10-year-old is 10, and who knows what he's going to do. But he knows the plan. We have not been secretive about this rule. My wife and I agreed that we would raise productive members of society before we got engaged. But now, heard my son think I'm being cruel to expect him to fend for himself at 18. I have offered him multiple opportunities to do other things, but he has no interest in anything beyond his computer. I am at a loss. I don't think I'm wrong for expecting an adult to adult. My parents have already told him that they will not be giving him any money if he isn't in school or working, but my wife is threatening to use her salary to support him. I don't have any say in that. I won't actually kick him out of the house, but I will stop paying his bills and cut off our grocery budget by 20%. If she wants to work so he doesn't have to, there is nothing I can do about that. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, assuming that a trade school, apprenticeship, or community college would also be acceptable. That's school or a job, so yes. Then I think you should be very concerned about why a 17-year-old doesn't have plans or ambitions. But you're not the a-hole for having expectations that he either be in school or working. It's not fending for oneself when the parents tell the kids, go to university, we pay for it, you stay under our roof. Or, work, keep your money to yourself, you stay under our roof. Or, choose to do nothing with your life and you'll have to fend for yourself. Not at all. You don't even give him ultimatums about what to study or what job to take. He could bum around from major to major or from minimum wage job to another, while figuring out what he wants to do with his life, with all expenses paid. He's not going to get sudden inspiration in how to spend his adult life by staying home and doing nothing. Not the a-hole for actually parenting your kid. This comment could not be said enough. Opie's wife and son are acting like he has to be a doctor or get kicked out. Like, no, just do something productive. Not the a-hole, but all your efforts will be pointless if you and your wife can't get on the same page. I think you need to talk this out further with her. Try and make her see you're helping him in the long run by making a firm boundary on this. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not attending my cousin's wedding because they sent my invite to my parents' house? My 26 female first cousin, Kyle 30 male, got married a few months ago and I didn't go because I wasn't officially invited. Now I'm getting heat from my family and I'm wondering if I'm the a-hole. I say this because my other cousin, Kyle's sister, messaged me a month before the wedding. And she's like, hey, you going to the wedding in November? And I was like, oh, I don't think so. I haven't been invited to any weddings. She explained that my invite had been sent to my parents' house. But here's the kicker. They all know I'm estranged from my mom and dad. We haven't talked in 2 years. So obviously no one told me about my invite even if I was invited. Plus, I haven't lived at home in 8 years. And I've moved to 2 different major cities in that time. So this is where I might have been the a-hole. I said that I was never actually invited to the wedding. No one asked me where my address was, and I'm not just going to ask Kyle where my invite went and risk inviting myself to the wedding. If he really wanted me there, he would have made an effort to contact me himself. Therefore, I was never actually invited, and I won't be attending. She left me on red, and I never heard from them on Christmas. Some of my friends understand, but others think I'm being stubborn and the groom may have been too busy to worry about my invite, while my entire family's ignoring me. What do you all think? Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Yeah, just explain that you didn't go because you thought you weren't invited, and you didn't know about it because you don't talk to your parents. I would apologize to your cousin for not going and say you didn't know he wanted you there. Thank you. This is good advice. Agreed. A nice gesture to smooth things over would be to offer a wedding gift and or plan to visit with them in the new year to celebrate. Not the a-hole. They know you don't speak to your parents, and a month beforehand they found out you never received an invite. If Kyle had wanted you there, he should have personally called you, apologized for not having your address correct, and asked if you could attend. It is a phone call that would take a few minutes. Your family sucks for ignoring you over this. This is a situation they created. Personally, it sounds to me like someone in that family group, probably aunt or uncle, was trying to force Opie to see/speak to her parents. Why else would they send the invite there when she hasn't lived there for 8 years? Why would they hear about Opie's text reply and a groom not follow up? Not the a-hole. And now for the update. Thanks for letting me know what you think. I will reach out to Kyle and wish him well on his marriage. I will just say I wasn't expecting people to be so mean about mine and my parents' estrangement, but I will say that I will never regret stopping the mistreatment as soon as I could. I hope if you're in the same situation, you'll find strength to do the same. Cheers!